Welcome back to the 12th Man channel. Brings you all the latest football news. And we were hoping to have a Liverpool Man United debate tonight, but unfortunately, we've had Zach, who's not feeling very well at the moment, he says. he's, come down he's come down with he says a bug, but I'm not sure what the story is. But
The
he says
Ten
he might be
Hag
feeling
bug.
better. He says he might be feeling better on Monday. But Meets is definitely here. So we're going to focus more on Liverpool. We will speak about United as well. Interesting, Liverpool are just playing and have just conceded to go 3-1 down and a bit of a dead rubber. That's why Meets isn't too bored about watching the game. But before we get into the Liverpool United and speaking about how Liverpool are doing at the minute, this game didn't really have a lot on it, but it's created a lot of headlines in football at the minute because it looks like Union Saint-Gilles, I think it is, or USG we'll call them for now, the Belgian side's first goal may have been offside. VAR check, looked at it for a long time and then decided to stick with the on-field decision of goal. And interestingly, UEFA were unable to provide fans. Obviously, it's different to the Premier League, so UEFA have control of all the TV replays. So therefore, that's when a VAR check's happening in a game. There's no replays allowed until after the decision's been made. And I was watching on Virgin Media here, and still at halftime, no replay of the first goal. So that points there may have been a mistake, mates. You didn't actually see it, but I was able to show you footage of it. And you were in utter disbelief that the goal was allowed.
Another one, hey, it's madness. Absolute madness. He must be at least 2 yards offside. And the last defender's clearly looking across the line and has played him. He's offside, like there's no doubt about it. But another one for us. At least I'm just glad that there's nothing riding on the game. You know what I mean? So it really doesn't matter. But I think it's UEFA's first big one now, and it'll be interesting to see what happens now coming out of this here. But it's I think you said to me it was like a 90-second VAR check, and they still went with the on-field decision. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens at the end of the game. But thankfully, it's a dead rubber game, like, so I'm not really too bothered about it.
The referee's coming across here again. They look at something.
It's that third goal's gone to a VAR decision now.
Well, it must not be an offside check because obviously they wouldn't send him across. They're checking for a potential handball. Funny how they've sent him across for this.
I'm not
but obviously because it's offside, I think this goal will be chalked off. It looks like handball. But Liverpool fans keep telling me there's a conspiracy. They keep telling me there's a conspiracy theory against them, and I keep shutting it down. But this doesn't look good at all.
It looks like it now.
I think. What's he decided here?
It's off. It's been given handball.
It's been given offside. Suppose, as you say, the only thing they take out of it is it's a bit of a dead rubber game. But I mean, I was watching the Group F games last night in Champions League. Obviously, we spoke about this when the group was done. Group F was the group everybody wanted to watch. And Mbappe scored a goal that was brought back for offside, done very quickly, and it seemed to be a lot closer than this one. And right away, the UEFA released the footage. So it's very, very strange that they haven't released this footage. But they're going to have to at some stage because the power of social media and the power of fans.
They're going to have to, and the only thing you have to look at is it's just as well it's happened in a game like this. Because you picture if this was a final, a semi-final, you know what I mean? And something like this is going, like, it's the first big one really that UEFA is now going to be tested with. And they are actually glad that there's probably nothing riding on the game. And if it was in a semi-finals, I say, like a Champions League, it would be, they'd be a big baller. But they use computerized.
I was going to say, after the Luis Diaz goal being disallowed against Spurs, there was a lot of calls for and a lot of criticism directed towards the Premier League when they opted not to use that semi-automated offside, which UEFA use. And if this does prove to be that it was an error, does that go to show you that no matter what technology you use, you can't advocate for human error? Because obviously the technology is not wrong. This is just the human's eyes not seeing it the way it is. I don't know. I can't because looking at it, it looks clear and obvious that he is offside, and you've got the technology. So does that sort of tell you that no matter what technology we have, there's always going to be mistakes made?
Well, that's, as you say, like the technology fail. You don't know. You know, this is as another human error. But how are these trained professionals getting? You know, they get to watch something for 90 seconds and they still can't see the right outcome. Like We had this conversation a couple of months back when the big one kicked off, and we're right back at square one again. Now, only at this time it's in European level. Thankful it's only the second tier European level. But no, hey, a strange one. It'd be interesting just to see what
Imagine this had
happens.
happened in the Newcastle game or something last night. It could easily happen. So, obviously, I'm not sure where your feelings are at it, but are you at the point now with VAR that you would rather just go without it and accept when there is a mistake?
I never wanted it anyway. I would rather just, it's human error, but when they're getting it wrong, watching it, 1,000 times, it just drives me absolutely insane. It takes the passion out of the game. You can't celebrate a goal. It's just ridiculous. Like the fans, I've been in once live, and it was the Villa game last year, and there was the check on Trent when he took the blow to the chest from what do you call
Mings.
it? Aye, Mings, and it went to VAR, and we were all in the stadium. We hadn't got a clue what was going on. Do you know what I mean? So things like that, like for in-house experience, like watching it live, it must be an absolute nightmare. But even at home, it's so frustrating. You just don't know what they're going to do next. And something that looks clear to me that's onside, they're calling offside. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know where we go with. It should be scrapped, in my opinion.
It's one of them things. You were at that Villa game. I was actually at the Spurs Chelsea game where I had about 20 VAR checks there in November, and I'm telling you, for as good as the game was, it was awful for the fans standing waiting around. I think there was maybe 13 minutes added on to the end of the first half and an hour 10 at the end of the second half. I think it was after half time by the time I got out of the stadium. It was just for the game finishing. It was, and it kicked off at 8 o'clock. So
there's people. I'm talking to people at games, and they're actually messaging their mates at home, going, "What's the crack?" And they're saying, "It's on or off." They're finding out before the people on the access.
Funny enough, Callum was doing that for me at the game. He was giving me screenshots, and he actually said to me in some of these game instances, especially the offsides, he couldn't understand why they were taking so long because some of them were really obvious. But do you think that Diaz incident has really scared them, and they taking their time, almost when it is obvious, to going through it 20 times just to make sure? I mean, are they feared to make an hour mistake?
Aye, and there's also, they're 100% afraid to make a mistake, and there's been a couple of ones since then where they've shown you different angles, and it's looked on and it's looked off on other angles. Do you know what I mean? They've taken one like just right on line, mate, and then they take one in maybe 2 yards back from it, and it looks as if somebody's in front of somebody else. But if you've got the right angle, but that's suppose them, and there's times now as well where they're not even drawing the lines right. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it's crazy they can't draw a straight line, but I think it should go. But fortunately, it looks as if it's here to stay.
Here to stay, isn't it? I think it's the terminology is from Hard Web. We're here to improve it, not take it away. Have you been watching them shows we make with Hard Web?
No, I just think his explanation of things are just shocking, and there's no punishment for these referees. They miss a week. They might drop down the Championship, but they're still getting a game. They're still getting paid, and then they're back in the Premiership doing a live Super Sunday match at 4:30. It's just mental. There's no repercussions whatsoever for them, and they're making massive decisions and massive games that come May could be so crucial, especially the way this Premier League season's going.
I was about to say it looks like a really tight everywhere from the Premier League. Sorry, from the top of the league, the Champions League places, the European places. We've got Zach. Is that Zach coming on there? Is it?
No, Zach's away.
Callum, let us know if there's an update on that UEFA with if there's any statement made on the goal, because obviously we're on here, we can't see anything. James Keenan's also watching tonight. James, looking forward to having you with us. Mates, you said to me in July, maybe even as early as June, that Liverpool were going to win the league this year. And funny enough, just as we have you back on, they went top of the league last week. Did you? I suppose I don't want to throw your integrity. Did you say that on a wing and a prayer in the summer, or did you truly believe it? And if so, have you grown in confidence now since June?
Aye, no, it definitely wasn't a wing and a prayer, and I probably says it every year. My life supporting Liverpool, we're going to win the league. We're going to win the league, but.
It's actually chatting to Maria the other day, and she says you'd be dreaming about it every night of the week. So
it's just one end thing. I just think last season was just so poor on compared to our last 5 or 6, and there just had to be a vast improvement this year. And the kind of manager Klopp is, he's just not going to let them standards drop like they dropped last year. I think he made a wee bit of mistake and not refreshing things sooner. You look at Guardiola and stuff. As soon as he sees it, he replaces it automatically. You know what I mean? He doesn't wait about. But I think just Klopp was a bit too loyal to most of the players, and then he's finally got his red out. Like if it hadn't been for Saudi Arabia, we probably would still have all them boys. Like, but no, there's just something about them, and just the way they spoke during pre-season. They seem to be up for it, and they know how bad they done last season, and they know it's not acceptable. And I just do strongly believe that. And don't get me wrong, Arsenal and Man City didn't blow me away last year. They just, I just thought like we could do them, and it's like, that's just how I felt, and we should be competing with them. And they just didn't blow me away. So no, I just think if we got a good start, which we got, and then the wee hiccup in the Spurs game, which we were well in the game and that, like, but. And I don't even think if we played well at all in any of our games. We're giving a lot of teams a 1-goal lead. We seem to be fighting back in the last 10, 15, 20 minutes of games and scoring like goals. And
does that worry you? Does that worry you? But does that worry you though that if that doesn't improve, it's not really sustainable?
I would agree with that, but I'm thinking like it has to improve. I can't see it going on like that. If you know who I'm going to speak about. Like I love him to pieces. Like if he starts putting away these chances that he mustn't, then we would be blowing teams out of the water.
As your patience starting to wear thin.
A wee tiny bit, but I'm going to stick on the right side of him. Like he drives me up the walls.
He just come off the bench here about 5 minutes ago. So we'll keep an eye on him, see if we can get a goal tonight. Owen saying he hasn't seen the goal. What happened? Only seen your message. I think every Liverpool fan's heads on Sunday. Not really interested in the game tonight. I suppose that it's probably down to the competition that they're in, and obviously the fact that it really does not matter the outcome of the game. And they've also sent out a very young squad, which is great for the young lads to get a bit of experience. I mean, you mentioned them there, Man City and Arsenal. Do you think of them three the main players in this title race? Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal. I mean, a lot of talk about Villa. Obviously, Spurs was up there, and now they fell off a wee bit with them injuries and a bit of a bad run. Do you see it as just them three teams?
I think come after Christmas now with a heavy schedule, and then things kicking in too. Villa too are in Europe too for the first time and already through to the knockout stages after Christmas. So I think that might take a toll on their squad. I don't think they have the biggest squad there, so I think they will fade away. I told you about Newcastle. I didn't think they would do anything this year, and that's proved to be right so far. So I do think it's come down to us three. Man City are seriously dangerous after Christmas. They can easily go and win 14, 15 games in a row. They've done it on numerous occasions. Arsenal, they keep people fit, depending on where they go in the latter stages of the Champions League. Heads could get turned, that kind of way. So they hadn't got that last year. So it's a different season for them as well. But Man City, they would be the ones that I would be looking at. If Arsenal do progress to around the 16 and maybe on the latter stages, I would see them maybe fading off.
Interestingly, I remember speaking to you in the summer about the Europa League. And you said you weren't really that interested in it. And I don't mean just about tonight's game. I mean not as an eternity. But they are in the last 16. We've seen the teams last night that are dropping down. It doesn't look to be the strongest 8 we've seen drop down. Looking at it, really, Liverpool are heavy favourites. They won that. So, I mean, have you started to maybe think we should go for that as well as the league? Or are you still very much about I think you don't play in the Europa League in March now because he's won your group. So, I mean, if you're still top league in March, the 50-50 split, are you still very much let's go for the Premier League?
For me, if we could not go to Europe, it genuinely wouldn't bother me. I just want to be pushing at the top of the league again and want to be on the Champions League. And don't get me wrong, we do get on the latter stages, and we haven't really been hit with many injuries. Like I know Matip's out for the season, Robertson's out, but Robertson's back after Christmas too, and so we haven't really had that where we had that before in our season. So if everybody's fit, there's plenty of room for rotation. And it all depends too, if we're still about in the FA Cup. We have a big game against Arsenal. But look,
would you go strong against Arsenal? Because I know a lot of Liverpool fans are saying maybe now we've got the League Cup, Europa League looking good last 16, heavy favourites in the League Cup. No matter, I mean, you really think it's between Liverpool and the one of that Chelsea Newcastle game? And Liverpool will still be favourites. They go on and won that anyway. I know you were saying to me you love the FA Cup, but for this season, would you be resting players in the FA Cup with it being Arsenal away in the third round?
Well, if Arsenal, because it's Arsenal, because it's one of your title rivals, even though they knock them out of the cups, and even if you do play out, a slightly weakened side, you're still sending the message out to one of your title rivals if that's what the case is going to be. So you want to go out and beat them well. Like I would, I prefer to
you're
play
an
the
FA Cup
strong
fan.
side.
You're an FA Cup fan.
I love it. There's nothing like that week out after the season finishes, man. That week Sunday out. It's hard to beat.
Go for saying if we win our next two games, I'll be saying we can win the league. James is saying go for the Premier League all day. I suppose they mixing and matching with all our competitions. Interestingly, a lot of people having their say on this. Callum saying Meats will be in the first bus down to Dublin if we get to the final.
100%.
Mark saying quadruple still on for Liverpool. So a lot of confidence amongst Liverpool fans tonight. And I think Owen makes a great point. These next two Premier League games are massive games. United are struggling, making no bones about it, but it's still Man United, and it's still a rival. And Liverpool, I'm sure, will be looking forward to the challenge of United. But Arsenal after that, both these games at home. Interestingly, I know West Ham and the Cup sandwiched in between. But I mean, and I think that's me and Callum were actually speaking about this last night. I wonder will that be the game he rotates players on because the position they're in the league now and the fact that they're playing Arsenal 3 or 4 days after that against the team it's likely to be in second. If Liverpool and Arsenal both won this weekend, it'll be first and second next Saturday at 5:30. So big week for Liverpool. I mean, before we get into this United game, mates, I mean, is it a season defining week? You've got United at home, your main rivals in terms of the history, the hatred. You've got West Ham in a quarter-final midweek, and then you've got at the minute, the next best team in the league beside you, and Arsenal. So, huge games.
Massive games, title or season defining. Maybe you need to be able to get the 3 points in your home games, and if you take all 3 points against them too, which I'm 100% confident Sundays. That's we might as well just put the 3 points on the board now because there's no way they're getting anything off us on Sunday. The next one ends a bit more trickier, but again, full of confidence. I think Christmas. I just
have a good Christmas. I mean, as I said, a lot of Liverpool fans don't see any slips in these next few games. I mean, the Arsenal game is going to be a big game. Arsenal have only lost 2 games this year. Liverpool won. And Arsenal fans believe them 2 games they lost, similar to these, was down to controversial refereeing decisions. So you can make a case that if things went their ways, these two sides will be coming into this game unbeaten. And you did mention United there. A lot of criticism, a lot of pressure around United. Obviously, the manager's under increasing pressure. But I mean, last year when Liverpool were playing United were in a good moment, and Liverpool weren't at their best, and Liverpool absolutely blew them away. The first half was quite tight, and then once that second half started, they scored 6 goals, and really United at the end, to be fair, I think gave up. But Liverpool made them do that. It was their intensity, their good play, and United, they completely fell apart. So I suppose it's hard to rule out happening again because you could argue they're in a worse moment now and Liverpool are in a good moment. But we've seen this all too many times before. The Premier League is very unpredictable. This Man United team is very unpredictable. Do you expect Liverpool to treat this as if they were playing United in their pomp on Sunday?
100%. We're going to do it as if they were top of the league, fucking 10 points clear. Do you know what I mean? You can't. I know. Like everybody always says, and I've said it for years, form goes out the window. But just this time round, that club's an absolute disarray from top to bottom.
It would be a shock. I think everyone would underestimate.
I think it would be. I would go as far as saying it would be probably one of the biggest shocks in Premier League history if they go and turn us over on Sunday. That's how bad they are. Like it's shocking how they've fallen from where they were, but it's great to see. Don't get me wrong, but I would like 2 teams coming in. Like they're coming there. They're going to put 11 men behind the ball. They're going to try and kill Hill's in the counter. They're missing so many players that will be under their first team. They're just coming in bits and pieces. They've just been knocked out of Europe. They've got off a wild bitten with Bournemouth. It could have been 5 or 6. It was really, really, and that's not an exaggeration. It was really
But does it
that
not
bad.
make you think? Does it not make you think in the back of your head that it can't get much worse than it is right now for them? That they have to maybe improve slightly, and like I think fans are different to players. You'd expect fans to be feeling the way you are, but do you expect Klopp to be drumming it into these players that this isn't going? No, don't be treating this like it's just turn up and we beat them.
All right, and I honestly look, he will tell them all week. Look, boys, we have to perform. You know what I mean? If you want to beat this team, you have to perform. The players might think, you play games before, you think turn these boys over, they no bother. You know what I mean? Hopefully that doesn't get under players' heads because that could be a downfall. But that the actual United team, I just can't see them. There's no fight on them. They don't play for their bags. They don't play for their fans. They just don't do it.
Yeah.
They don't play for their manager. I think there's so much going on behind the scenes that they just don't care. You know what I mean? They're not bothered at all.
I mean,
and I think most United fans would agree with that.
I think before Brendan Rodgers come on, Liverpool were going through a very sticky spell with different managers. Yep. Fans weren't happy. Rodgers come on, done really well, but then they upgraded with Klopp because they wanted someone that could deliver. I mean, United fans, I wouldn't say it was similar because Ferguson was somebody that we're never going to see somebody like that again, probably. We've seen it with Wenger, but and that era of football's gone. United have had very little success since Ferguson's left. Yes, they've won a few trophies, but they haven't delivered Premier League or Champions League. Haven't really been involved in a title race. They've had a couple of second place finishes, but quite far away from Man City in first. And again, a lot of teams' them seasons were in bad ways, so they took advantage of that, but never really getting near the top. I mean, do you think the biggest difference between these two clubs at the minute as a manager? Because if you can get a world-class manager on that can, it's not just about managing the actual team, but managing the club, putting the right foundations in place, creating the unity that Liverpool fans have. United haven't had that since Ferguson's left. I mean, I think for United, there's a lot of criticism at Ten Hag, and we will come on to Ten Hag after this, but United's problems are they lie more than just at managers because they've had Mourinho, they've had Ole, they've had Van Gaal. Apart from Ole, you would say the rest of them were all established coaches, Moyes as well. So not to say they were bad managers, it just didn't work at United for a lot of reasons, and it does point to the fact that Ferguson and David Gill covered up a lot of the problems that were happening under the owners. Kind of feel the way if Klopp left tomorrow, you might see something similar happen at Liverpool. I think he masks over a lot of the problems at FSG with a lack of funds. Yes, you agree they run a balanced ship, but the only reason they get away with it is because Klopp's really, really good at getting the best out of what he has and finding the right players to fit his system. So, I mean, it's much more than just about the manager at United.
Oh, 100%. And like they've had world-class managers on, but I don't think the managers are getting allowed to do what they would want to do. No, I think they put a stop to it when Ferguson walked out the door. Ferguson basically ran the whole ship. Do you know what I mean? Him and David Gill. And they just took everything. There was never a minute's bother. There was never a question about ownership under their leadership. And now it seems to be like that power that he had then has been completely taken away, that no manager has been allowed it. There's so much stuff going on up the stairs.
Seems they have all that power since they have gone to the dressing room.
Aye, like Ronaldo walks out last year. Like that rang a bell for me. Like he is the most professional that there is. Like he is a complete professional. That's why he's still playing football to this day. And for him to walk out and criticise the club, that says everything. People were calling him this and calling him that, but I genuinely sat back and went, there's something going on there if he's walking away from the club that he quite clearly loves. And he couldn't do nothing. He had just all bad things to say about it. So that just shows you that, it is higher than I'm a wild person for going that things like that shouldn't affect players on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? It should like drown out all that background noise and get on with performing. But I think a lot of the blame has to go to the players. Like they should be like there's people there that's work all week, spend their money, traveling up and down the country. The best you can do is put a performance on them. Do you know what I mean? Regardless of who you support, your club and your fans deserve that, and they just have not been pulling their weight at all.
Yeah, James is saying crazy to think United and Chelsea might not be in the top four. Well, to be honest, I get on their stature of the club, but the way they're playing, it would be a miracle if any one of them got on. Owen thinks if we go 1-0 up, United heads will drop. They just don't have the mindset when they go a goal down. And they do have that really awful away record. and especially under Ten Hag, where he's not been able to go to any big ground and get a win. A lot of losses on there. I mean, let's come on to talk about Ten Hag because there is a lot of pressure on him, especially after going out of the Champions League. And let's say they never really looked like scoring a goal the other night. I don't know whether the game plan was to maybe just sit in because they have had so many beatings this year where they've opened up and maybe try to catch a goal in the counter attack, but they were missing key players and never really had that. Anthony, for me, just hasn't worked out. Not really the type of player that's going to run past you. He might have good feet, but doesn't deliver. Garnacho, one of their best players this season, but a lot of pressure on him to do something. And Højlund, for all the promise around him, hasn't really happened either. So they don't have a lot of quality against Bayern Munich. And to be honest, I think Bayern Munich were in second gear. They never really got out of, they cruised and they got the one. And interestingly, they had a party after. I don't think they could believe how easy it was. But I mean, these 3 games now coming up over Christmas. 4 games. Liverpool away on Sunday, West Ham away on the 23rd, Villa at home on the 26th, and Forest away on the 30th. 4 games in 13 days, 3 of them away from home, and United do not do well on the road. So, I mean, if these games don't go well, mates, Willie's position, no matter what we say about the top of the club, obviously Jim Radcliffe coming in, and we've heard rumours about Graham Potter today. The writing may well be on the wall, but no matter what we say about what's happening behind the scenes, if they're sitting 12, 13, 14 points away from 4th, out of the Champions League, out of the League Cup, only get the FA Cup to go for really, and maybe trying to get anywhere near, top 6, top 7, just to get into Europe for next season, would his position become untenable with the money he spent and not just the bad results, the performances as well, because a lot of the games they've won have been fortunate.
Gareth, I think he could be gone on Monday, depending on how things go on Sunday, and I'm deadly serious. If they go out and, a lot of people and United fans actually, that I've spoken to too, think that, we're unfit on Sunday, like them 4 games that I'm looking at, that's tough games of football. Away to Forest fighting for their lives, Villa flying, and West Ham's just a nightmare place to go at any day of the week, regardless of how they're playing. And then coming to us, like I genuinely think, and as you said, see, we're being knocked out of Europe midweek, and then if he gets a bad result now on Sunday, I think he could be gone on Monday morning. I genuinely do, and then they'll take over Christmas. They rethink and bring somebody on fresh in for maybe the second week of January or something like that. Mm-hmm. As you say, there's already been mentions of people already, so there's people waiting in the wings to take over that position. Like anybody would jump at that chance. A massive football club and a great opportunity for somebody, like especially like if you're saying there, Graham Potter. They'd be treated the way he was treated at Chelsea. They land the Man United job in. Most fans, we would all probably turn around and laugh. Do you know what I mean?
It has created a divide amongst United fans. Some United fans, and not just fans, ex-players, pundits on the TV, a divide over what changing the manager would actually do. And then there's others saying that we still, regardless of what we think, we can't continue on in this fashion. So they're worried that if they do maybe get rid of Ten Hag after the Liverpool game, say, and they get on an interim coach to end the season, because let's be honest, I don't think they're going to get a top manager out of a job the state they're in with what they have left in the season they salvage. We've seen it with Chelsea last year. It was obvious that Pochettino was going to be coming on, but he says no, wait to the end of the season, because there was nothing to gain by coming on with the season virtually. I mean, if they're in if Liverpool beat them badly, they're going to be sitting maybe 9-10 points off the top 4. And already I think that's too big of a gap. I just don't see how they would make that up. So you could nearly write off their chances of being in the Champions League next season. So I'm not sure what kind of top manager would leave a job they're in to go there. They try and salvage very little. So it will be very much getting through the end of the season. And the problem they've done this under Ollie. They sacked Mourinho, funny enough, 5 years this weekend after losing to Liverpool away at Anfield. Right. And they got Ollie in, and they've done this brilliant run, and they were forced to give him a contract. I'm not saying that's going to happen again. Let's just say they go and get, I'm trying to think of names, maybe a Michael Carrick. I know he's doing well, but Middlesbrough's not going as well. Maybe if he come on they may give him an 18-month contract, but very, very much that it's a 6th month with an extension to a year, so they can maybe have a get-out clause in the summer. But let's just say they bring Carrick in and they go on a very great run. They're almost forced to do the same again. So, I mean, it's very difficult for them to weigh it up, because if these United players were to turn it on under a new coach, say they lose to Liverpool and then they go and beat West Ham, beat Villa, beat Forest and won their next 3 or 4, it doesn't say a lot, because you've got all these problems that are happening behind the scene, and if United players can turn it on like a tap, what's they say, they don't down tools on the next manager.
And it comes to a point too where they're going to have to stick with a manager regardless. This chopping and changing managers just doesn't happen. When you get a man in and he's got a vision and he's got a philosophy and he wants to play his good football, he needs time, and you have to stick with him. You just can't, there's somebody else going to bring on. There is no style of play under Ten Hag. I think anybody can say that. Nobody knows what the style of play is. You see, as you mentioned, Michael Carrick, or even I heard your man McKenna, the Ipswich, even being brought on too, and like a number 2 or something, even but they've a brand of football. They play attacking football. There's an identity they're playing. That's Middlesbrough and Ipswich you're talking about. But Man United,
I agree with what you're saying. But Ten Hag had a very distinct identity at Ajax, where it was all about, you could see Ajax. They were seconds away from a Champions League final, and we're very unlucky not to get there. Spurs fluked that, to be totally honest. And that was a team of far less quality. He was able to do that with his players, and he's brought on a lot of the same players from Ajax, and he hasn't been able to get his identity across here. So it's difficult for me, because I'm not saying Ten Hag's the answer, but he's definitely not as bad as what he's been made to look. So it makes me think United players have just stopped. They're not listening to what he wants, so they're just not playing for him, because I don't think that's what he wants to see on a football pitch, being resulted to playing counter-attack, because under Van Gaal, they had a bit more possession, but since that, Mourinho's counter-attack, Ole counter-attack, Ten Hag counter-attack, but he was a very, very much possession-based coach. So I'm just not sure. I mean, if these managers who've done very well, as you say, at Middlesbrough and Ipswich come on, what's they say, United players say, I don't fancy that, we're just going to play our way. I don't know.
Right, no, it's crazy, because, as you say, he had an identity at Ajax, and people were arguing that was only Ajax, but he done it on the big stage. He's done it in the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? So he went in and he played, and he's tried to bring in players in too. I think he's been caught by a couple. Casemiro, Real Madrid aren't going to let a good player go, but they were getting offered 80 million. They can't give Modric in all year, so that just shows. You know what I mean? They knew with Casemiro that things aren't going. No, they see him every day, so they let him go. And United took him, and he just hasn't done anything for United. But as you say, Ten Hag has been left to hang out to dry in my eyes too. He has to go out in front of them cameras every day and say, this, that, and the other. He's fallen out with so many players. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of ill discipline within the club. He's dropped things.
So a lot of these players he's worked
Sancho,
with before.
He get rid of Ronaldo.
It's so strange, because he's worked with some of these players before.
But maybe it's a dressing room.
I mean, Dylan makes a great point here. He thinks Son's a lot deeper.
So them players.
He's saying the better question: what if a manager comes in and turns it around? Would Emery leave Villa to go to United? Now, if the offer was there, I don't think he would. But I mean, Emery had similar issues at Arsenal, where players down tools under him, and it took Arteta to go on and fix it. But similarly, as we're saying, Arsenal went through a very difficult spell where Arteta was under serious pressure, and the club backed him. Do you think that's something United need to try and do, mates? Because he's saying, or Callum's saying here, they've consistently down tools and leak stories to the media on whoever the manager is. It's a culture of the club. So do you almost feel that, maybe Ten Hag might be the last one to lose his job, because we see Radcliffe's coming on, they might have a different idea. Let's just say that the favourite at the moment seems to be Graham Potter. If Graham Potter comes in, do you think the best thing United can do is, even if it gets really bad results-wise and the culture of the club's still the same, they just stick with him, make a stand, and say, look, we're back in the manager this time?
Well, if he comes in, part of his deal, I believe, is that it's all football matters. He has full control over all the football matters. So that takes the management and stuff side of that there away from the Glazers. So it's a complete sport overhaul he'll be doing. So he might come in and say, no, listen, it's time for you boys now to pull up your socks. I think somebody needs to say it to them players. No other than the manager. Somebody else needs to come in. No, like the Glazers come in and say, right, this isn't good enough. I do believe that owners and stuff should stay out, but this has been happening year after year at United. So if the manager's not getting the message across, or the players are playing up and down on tools for the managers, the ex-players are having a go at them every single weekend on live TV and national TV, telling that they're down on tools, and they're still doing it the following week. But somebody comes in and says, you know what, you're dropped your weight, and bring some of the young boys in, and then they might, pull up their socks in. But Callum's probably right. It is like a culture that was never there before, and all the ex-players say it every week that it's absolutely shocking, and they wouldn't let what's happening in that dressing room happen whenever they were playing. Like,
Owen saying United player pay mad money for players who have one good season. Sancho on 350 grand a week doesn't even kick a ball. Stuff like this doesn't go on at Liverpool and Man City. And there's the point. Liverpool and Man City have world-class managers that have the respect of everyone.
Yep.
It's going to be difficult because I don't think Pep Guardiola's and Jurgen Klopp's growing trees. They're very, very hard finds. And I don't think you can maybe throw that at United's door because they are. I can't think of anyone out there who you'd even put on that bracket along with them two. You could say like Ancelotti, but he's probably at the end of his career. I'm not sure he'd be the right man, but very difficult. We've seen Mourinho would be the other one you would throw in there in terms of what he's achieved, but I think he's not evolved, and I think there's a reason he's at Roma. His last few jobs hasn't worked out. But Mourinho did make a lot of comments 5 years ago to this weekend, and all these things have sort of became true. Yeah. I remember him also saying that finishing second with that team was the best achievement of his career.
Ever, yep.
I mean, Mourinho gets a lot of criticism, but he did say a few home truths, and I do think a lot of them have become true. So you can't really throw anything at Mourinho because he's a world-class manager, and he has been, and everything he said about certain players has been correct.
It's like these players aren't coming out and saying it for nothing. Like Ronaldo, as I say, I'll go back to Ronaldo came out and said it. And everybody went, oh, no. He was mentioning people that weren't pulling up their socks, and in training they were shocking and they weren't up to his standards and they were getting led away with it. It wasn't, it's absolutely mental that a team, like you see it every weekend in Roy Keane's face. He's just, I would put him in. That's the boy that I would put in. And Gareth, as you mentioned there about managers, who would you put on? Like Keane would be the only boy I would put on. He would set the dressing room straight.
Just sort of kick ass at the end of the season. Kick ass at the end of the season.
He would fall out with a lot of people, but he would not be long in shifting a few of them. Do you know what I mean? But see, if you look at managers coming through now, they're all very young. All these managers are very, very young managers, and you have to look at maybe the senior people on the squads. No, we go. I'm not listening to him. What does he know? Do you know what I mean? So
I like Graham Potter. I like Graham Potter as a coach, but the Chelsea players weren't having him at Chelsea. So I mean, United players are going to look at that and go, "This boy is just a total walkover." I'm not sure he would be the right man. They turn it around for him. I like him, but I just don't think this job would be good for him.
No, I don't think so either. Like especially as you say, like if he's not going to get the respect and off of players from Chelsea, he's certainly not going to get it at Man United when the current manager isn't. But I would genuinely throw Roy Keane on. They ruffle up a few fellers.
I don't think that's a bad. Just until I wouldn't give him on a long term, but I would let him.
No, because he's not he's definitely not a tactical genius or anything. Do you know what I mean?
Give him a 6-month contract and let him kick ass down the season.
Just to go on and he'll go on and he'll watch his first session of training and he'll know straight away, no good, not good enough for Man United. Do you know what I mean? That's what he will do, and maybe have somebody beside him who's maybe going to step under the role after the 6 months or something.
Let's come back to the game for Sunday. Interestingly, Liverpool just lost there 2-1. Not that Liverpool fans will care too much. That's right. But that's the Europa League finished until March for them. And they can focus on, as they say, bigger fish they fry. I mean, a lot of talk about Bruno Fernandes. He's actually suspended on Sunday. Which team do you think that favours most? Because we know he's a quality player, but he's never ever done it in these games at Anfield. Last year he downed tools. A lot of calls, including from Roy Keane, to say after that Man City game he should have been stripped of the captaincy. Many would argue he should never have got it in the first place. But I mean, do you think this in any way could help United on a lot of injuries? Maybe a lot of the main boys in the dressing room might be missing for this game. Maybe they might throw in a few young lads who want to play for the shirt. Do you think that could help United if they've got a lot of young lads on Sunday who are just desperate to play for the club in terms of the boys who are there just for a paycheck?
Well, as you say, injuries are crippled now. You're going to get a couple of boys now, or Chelsea boys now at Anfield. It's probably not the best place to throw them in. But as regards to Bruno, I mean, if I was the captain of my club, I would boycott the games. I genuinely would. He spends more time running about after referees and rolling about the ground, and he's just not a leader. I don't need to say that. Man United fans will say it. Technically, he's a great player. He's outstanding when he plays for Portugal. Do you know what I mean? But is that because he's got great players around him? Yeah, it could be an argument. But as a leader, as a captain, you're standing there in a tunnel and you look over to your left hand side and it's him. You're going, it's an easy day's work here. There's nothing on him. I
You've
cannot
got you've
get
got
my
Van
head
Dijk,
around him as a
you've got Van
footballer.
Dijk, you've got Van Dijk on one side, and
One
you've got
side
Bruno
and
Fernandes on the other side.
and he's a good footballer. Don't get me wrong on that, but as a leader, that's the last man I would be looking to be backing me up anywhere. Do you know what I mean? And I go back to the old heads, the old players, the proper captains. Roy Keane's going, what is this man doing? And that's where it's Ten Hag's problem. He picked him as captain. So I don't know, the whole thing. Like it's a real head scratcher when you've got World Cup winners like Varane at the back. You know what I mean? And you've got like I said, Casemiro, who all right, he misses a lot of games and stuff, but that's proper leaders, like proper footballers, like not him. He spends more time crying, and there's what the young boys are sitting watching. You would rather see somebody get in hard tackling them, especially in his position where he plays. I mean, he can see the whole of the game back and front. So, and to me, he's an absolute. It's a waste of talent, really.
I mean, Owen's saying here, about Rashford. Has Rashford's behaviour surprised you? Because he is a Manchester-born player, been at the club a long time, regarded as one of their best players. And for this season, he's not just his form. Anyone can have a dip in form, but his behaviour, his lack of effort on the pitch, has that surprised you?
Especially from him. But he and I'm not trying to make an excuse for the young fella, but he must be so frustrated. Do you know what I mean? And what he's seeing, and he can't say nothing. And you don't know what the ins and outs of it. Like he was benched for apparently he was lit or something. You don't know the ins and outs, like as I say, but it could have been something that he said or something. He's a proper mink. Like, do you know what I mean? And what he's watching and maybe what he can't say and what he's not allowed to say. And he's just getting frustrated. And he's like, well, what's the point of me going to my work? And hey, I may as well stroll on lit because as other people's doing it, you just don't know what's going on. But he plays decent when he plays for England. Do you know what I mean? So I scratch my head at that going.
Same way Fernandes, all these players performing under national duty, but don't fancy it.
And they don't when they come back to their clubs. I just don't get it. But it must be disappointing for Man United fans watching their own, and like kind of demise. You know what I mean? When there was so much thought in.
I mean, you're Liverpool United would also be like Spurs Arsenal for me. Arsenal fans the same. It's always a game you look out for in the calendar. I know Man City, Man United's a local derby, but this game, because of the heritage and the history involved, this is a game Liverpool United fans both look at. And I think even when United were on their pomp and Liverpool were struggling, they always believed they could go to Old Trafford when they came to Anfield. I think Ciaran Preston spoke about this. Even when they went to Anfield, when they were flying, Liverpool were maybe fighting for top four at the time. They always expected a difficult game. I mean, United fans I spoke to have no real belief at all on Sunday. Even if the game is at Old Trafford, they wouldn't have any belief they were going to do anything against Liverpool. A lot of people were saying the Bournemouth result doesn't surprise them. So I mean, it's very, very. I don't think we've ever been in this position. Definitely not in the Premier League history. Where even I remember last year, a lot of United fans went to Anfield thinking, we can do something." They have no confidence or belief for this game. So I mean, can you ever think back to a situation where this has happened? Where one team was completely in disarray against the other?
No, because this is actually come as a wee bit of a shock how bad they've been the last couple of weeks because they won like 3 in a row or something. They got manager of the month, player of the month, all this. Yeah. They were flying it, and then they were all on their Facebooks and Twitters going, "Oh, we're only 3 points out off using, and you're having a great season." And now they're in disarray. 3 games later, it's absolutely mental. But it shows you that they can turn it on when they want to turn it on, and then it's like something happens in the dressing room or they don't like what somebody says to them. And it's just they down tools,
the away record, especially under Ten Hag, is frightening. They haven't turned up in these games away to any big team, really. I think they haven't beat a team in the top 9 or 10 under Ten Hag away from home. And a lot of them games have been defeats. So, I mean, it's very difficult for anybody to you see all the science, all the evidence points to Liverpool steamrolling them. So, does that bring any fear in you that there's so much expectation at a counter?
No, I've never been as confident going on to a game, and it's just because of the way United are and everything that's going on at their club. Even if it was at Old Trafford, I would probably feel the same. I've never ever known so many teams go to Old Trafford now thinking they can win. That never ever happened. You look at things, see, 10 years ago, whatever, the teams looked and went, right, we'll take that one off there. We're playing them on the 13th of October. Right, that's it. Forget about that. We're going to Old Trafford, so we're down 3 points here. But now, Bournemouth went and absolutely battered them. And it's and Man United fans aren't surprised. It just shows you the drop in levels is unbelievable. But I know, as they say with Sunday, Liverpool's 2-7 on the bookies. Do you know what I mean? United 17-2.
That's crazy.
You can't, and you never back against the bookie. Do you know what I mean? It's just not. It's a foregone conclusion. My eyes, it genuinely is. What do you see them business, and then I have to come back and.
We'll come back to the match prediction at the end. We'll fly through the rest of these games, mates. Some big games this weekend. Just going to ask you for your thoughts on some of these games. First of all,
that's why Friday. That's why the Morris show was cancelled. It's all right during the Liverpool game.
That's it. Well, to be fair, if he's had been playing tomorrow night, I wouldn't have been doing it during that either. Only because it was that dead rubber Europa League game, and as you say in the comments here, some people are asking what he's talking about, that goal. They weren't even watching. So, I mean, big game they started off because a lot of pressure on Steve Cooper. The fans, the players backing him, but the owner isn't really feeling it. He's thinking about a change. But I think this shows you the power of fans in football. You know, we've seen it with Spurs as well. When they were going through that sticky patch, the fans were still backing the manager. As opposed to, you look at Chelsea now, whereas the owners are trying to keep Poch in there, whereas the fans want Pochettino out. And I'm not sure. Usually the fans get their way. And in this instance, it looked like Wolves was going to be Cooper's last game at the weekend, and he only got a draw. We were told he had won, but they says, no, we're going to give him a bit more time. I think if the fans had been saying we've had enough, he would have been gone. The owners worried about a backlash. I'm not sure how long that buys him, but it definitely shows you the power of fans in football, and that's why I'm expecting home game under the lights, Friday night, Sky Sports Live. I'd expect that put to be rock on tomorrow night, and it's going to be a difficult game for Spurs.
Oh, it'll be absolutely buzzing, but it just shows you, Gareth, too. You know what I mean? It's different gravy, like when you come up from the championship, getting a time up and going against the best end. You know what I mean? And trying to keep teams up, and they've spent some serious dough. They must have brought on about 30 players, and that's not even an exaggeration. Like, they've completely changed their whole team. There's hardly anybody that come up along with them. You know what I mean? It's even there now. So he's done a great job to get them, but sometimes a manager can only get you so far, and you have to change. But wait, they're all his players. So you're expecting a man to come on there, and he's going to want to bring on more players in January. You know, there's times too when you have to stick with a manager, but they're not performing well at all. They're really, really not. And I think you're back to playing some decent stuff again. You know what I mean? You're crippled with injuries, but it's going to be a tight one. But I fancy he's tomorrow night. You need to get back on the proper one on ways and going to run now over Christmas. Like, you get yourselves back on some sort of.
What do you think of the Ange Ball style of football? I mean, great to watch, but
brilliant. As you said, one of the best teams to watch in the Premier League without a doubt. And Spurs fans can't complain. You've been watching drab football for the last 5-6 years. So now that this is there, you can't knock it. It's just, you just can't do it. You have to like it. But he's good. He's good. You know what I mean?
To be fair, you said to me when he come on, you think this boy will do well.
Aye, it's just his whole attitude and the way he speaks. You know, he's very laid. He's that laid back. You know, nothing really gets to him, and all of our stuff. And he's just come out and his interviews after all these decisions have been very, very good. And I just think he's just come on, settle the place down. He carries a lot of respect. You know what I mean? Players respect him. And like, I know a whole lot of Celtic fans that were absolutely heartbroken that he left. Like, they were devastated. And they told me that, I'm telling you, Spurs will be up there in a couple of years with this boy. You know, and I know it's Celtic, but he pulled up trees with Evans too. So I think he's brilliant. He's a breath of fresh air, and his style of football, that if he goes down to 5 men, he's still having a crack. Well, fair play to him. So I go 2-0 Spurs.
2-0 Spurs. He loves and dies by the sword. I think this game's won the first 15 minutes if Spurs get a goal. Because I think you'll quieten the crowd. Funny enough, Spurs have scored the first goal in their last 10 games, and they haven't won a lot of them. They've been struggling to get that second goal.
They start sitting back, hey?
Exactly. I don't want that. No, but I agree with you. I think Spurs will win this. I think they'll win a 3-1. They easily concede. So I'll say 3-1. Big game Saturday, 3:00, Bournemouth Luton. I mean, Bournemouth are flying at the minute. I mean, if there's a team you don't want to play, probably them and Fulham with the two teams out of the big teams at the minute. They're the informed teams.
Hey, but in saying that, they are playing well, but hey, fair play to Luton. You have to take your hat off. They give it to
They,
us.
they push
Give
they
it to
push
Arsenal,
everybody to the
and
limit, don't they?
they give it to City. Do you know what I mean? You have to take your hat off. Your man's living and dying by the sword. You know what I mean? He's going for it. Like, you know what I mean? Have a go at these teams and see what happens. Like, he probably knows he's only there for a season, but hey, you have to give it them. I would love to see them get a result. But as you say, Bournemouth's flying it now. I think they're starting to get your man, the new man. Like, there was a whole lot of when Gary Thingley he got sacked, like, and they brought your man on. You know, there was uproar. The Bournemouth fans weren't happy, but I think now it's starting to. I think it might be a wee bit of a lucky one on the owner's behalf. You know, things are actually starting to change, and the fans.
It looked bleak about 5 or 6 weeks ago.
It does. But your man's kind of getting his style of play across now, and they're playing good football. Like, they played really, really well too away to United.
They went that United.
Even the Villa game.
You know what, they went that both of them teams, and they says, "Well, you know what, we fancy ourselves," and they did. They were almost a minute away from beating Villa too.
So you have to give them credit. Like, and unfortunately, I would say, I'd love to see Luton do something and try and stay up. Like, but I think they're on a hiding nothing no matter who they're playing. I think they just haven't got that wee bit extra. You know what I mean? But I fancy Bournemouth all day long in that.
James reckons 15 or 20 minutes Spurs will walk over Forest. Bournemouth, I think Luton are one of them teams at home. It's a different game. They can almost play the game in their own terms. I think away from home they've struggled. But from what I've seen of them at home, I mean, they pushed City and Arsenal all the way. They got a point at Liverpool. Spurs had to fight tooth and nail up there. They get a 1-0-1. So they're able to mix it with anyone at Kenilworth Road. So that would give you confidence. If any of the teams at the bottom is going to get out, it could be Luton. But I think again, Bournemouth definitely won this game. 2-0, I think. Tonight's massive game at the Bridge on Saturday. I mean, Pochettino is under all sorts of pressure from the fans. They don't like him because of the Spurs connection. And you're playing bottom of the league, Sheffield United, but they did get a big one last week. And to be fair, they gave Liverpool a half-decent game considering the season they're having. So, I mean, they might see this as an opportunity. Chelsea aren't at the races. Confidence is low. And if they go and shock Chelsea, I think Pochettino's his job becomes untenable.
You think so?
Just because of the fan pressure. The fact they're at home as well. I've seen a lot of the fans are saying he needs to get his Spurs mentality out of this club. Some of the stuff he says about them being a mid-table team, they're not happy with him. He's got that Spurs tag on his back. He was never the choice of the Chelsea fans, and I think it's very similar to when Mourinho was at Spurs. Any excuse, any mistake he made, Spurs fans get at him. And it's very similar here. I think he's on a hiding to nothing. No matter what he does, the Chelsea fans won't be happy unless he delivers, major success. But they look miles away. Now, Bowley said he's backing him, and they're going to be going again in January, which is bizarre because I don't know how you solving the issue with creating the problem they have with signing too many players, overpaying for players. They're going to get charged a fortune again. So I'm not sure what the answer is at Chelsea, but it's not looking like it's going to be Pochettino if things don't improve.
No, he has he's come on already, as you say, with a target in his back with the whole Spurs connection. You can see he's what he done with Spurs was brilliant, but Chelsea needs success straight away. That's what they're looking for. But then they've brought on so many players. Like, it's just ridiculous the amount that they brought on and the money they spent.
And they're on about going again in January.
Going again in January is just crazy. You need to sort out what you have there, and then look at it at the end of the season. And when you see right, these boys up for it or not, it's a tough game. They're shipping some goals at home. So they are, you know what I mean? They never ever.
They've only won 2 out of 8 home games.
They create loads and loads of chances. So they do. They do create so many chances, but they just get nobody. Mudrik's not doing much. Reece James creates a lot for them down the right hand side. He's out injured again. Your man Jackson's not really doing much.
April, he's out.
April. So, and that's it. I actually did hear him using that as an excuse. Oh, Reece James is out now. He kind of. I think he's clawing. I think he's clawing at straws, you know what I mean? He's going, I think he can see maybe the writing on his walls.
I don't think he looks happy there at all. The Pochettino I see in Spurs, he doesn't look happy there at Chelsea. I just don't think it was ever a good fit. And I don't know. I think they would do him a favour if he was getting out of it now.
I think they probably would. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's standing too on them sidelines, like, and the God knows the abuse he's getting. You know what I mean? You don't know what they're doing, whatever. When he was with Spurs, it was nothing but love. You know, so he's going on there. As soon as he walks out on that stadium, he's in a hostile environment straight away. He knows that there's 50,000 people on there and they're all against him. You know what I mean? They kind of want the team to get bit so they can get rid of him. That's kind of the mentality. You know,
all the major Chelsea fan channels are saying, get him out, get him out. Now, I think they may get their wish if they don't win this game, but I think they will win this game. I don't know how you feel. I think they have to win this. I think they're bound to win it.
Hey, they have to win it, but then again, hey, remember as we spoke about Man United, hey, players down in tools, and the players haven't been doing it for him either. So, and Sheffield United, I mean, Chris Wilder's back. He's a local man. He's a fan. He's going to pump it on them as they give it a go. He's going to tell them players that we can definitely win. He's going to tell them about all their problems. You know, remind them of them. And I think Sheffield. I reckon I'd be fancying a bit of a draw there, like a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I think Sheffield will get a result. Danny saying Jackson couldn't hit a bar door. What do you think the draw?
Well, I'll go a 1-1 draw. I do think it's a very sticky period for him, and
if you can't beat Sheffield, I don't see how you could stay on.
No, well, it's that tight, and you like Poch, like regardless of who.
I feel sorry for him. I do feel sorry for him, but I watched him at Everton on Sunday. He doesn't look happy. The players don't look happy.
He looks a shadow of himself on the sidelines. He does. He looks lost.
He looks lost. And and I don't think, unfortunately, he's going to be targeted now after this PSG, and it doesn't look like he's ever going to recover. I think Spurs and Pochettino were having that similar issue where both of them didn't recover from each other. And I think now Spurs have found their, I don't know if that's hurting them because from all we hear, he wanted to come back in the summer, but Levy wasn't having it. He says he wanted to go a different way. Don't know if that's hurting him. But just it's very sad to see him, the demise of him in a way, because at one point there was people saying he could be almost potentially the third best manager in the world behind Poch or behind Pep and Klopp. So I just don't know.
These managers are nothing without the club. You know what I mean? The managers, they fit the club. A club has they fit the manager. Everything as they feel right. You know what I mean? And Klopp's went down there and Guardiola's found the right club. It's the longest he's ever stayed at a club. Klopp the same. You know, it just fits. And it's once in a while.
To be honest, I think he was tailor made for that Newcastle job and he turned it down. I think before they went to Howe, it would have been a great fit for him because it was a similar type of club.
And that job's going to be coming up.
Because Eddie Howe, you can't get Eddie Howe as manager.
I think there's that, but then I think he's taking Newcastle as far as he can take them. You know what I mean? It's just the next level now. Somebody who can bring in better players.
While Poch's name's as big as it was now, if it doesn't go well, Chelsea's an thing. But I do think they'll get a 1 this weekend. They'll go for a 2-1, but it won't be pretty. The champions are in action at 3:00 against Crystal Palace. Ex-Liverpool manager Roy Hodgson under increasing pressure for his defensive, unwatchable, Crystal Palace fans have said, style of play. I mean, do you sympathize with the Palace fans? Because, I mean, they ran a mess last year. They wanted to make a change on Vieira. They, I think, went 7 games without a goal, and he got Roy Hodgson back in, and he saved them. And under Roy Hodgson for a number of years, Palace never really played good football, but they always stayed in the league. So, I mean, the Palace fans need to be careful what they wish for. I mean, it's very easy to say we want to play attacking football, but we've seen Leeds, we've seen Leicester last year. They're in the Championship.
But they're up and down from the Championship. Crystal Palace are a stair, do you know what I mean? So at times you have to look at it and go, right, what's our goals? We can't just stay in the league all the time. We need to improve. We need to progress. And I genuinely think Vieira was a perfect fit. I was going through a bad spell, do you know what I mean? But you have to stick through managers in these bad spells. They just shipped them out the first they got, and then they went back into the old style. So with all the work that he done for them 18 months was just all put back and straight back to Roy Hodgson.
He's played Palace the weekend, right? And I mean, let's be honest, right? They made exactly. If only it's playing them because it's very hard to break them down because they do not want to attack. And I mean, if the red card doesn't happen, they might have held on, or they might have maybe got a draw. I'm not sure, but Roy gives him a great chance in these games against the big sides. I mean, Spurs went there; it was extremely tough. Same scoreline, 1-2-1. Arsenal went there this season, 1-1-0 with a penalty. So they're able to make it very difficult for the top teams. But the argument that the Palace fans have is when they play teams they're expected to beat, they adopt the same style of play. and often end up maybe not winning the game, drawing the game, or even losing the game. So, I mean, where are you at with Palace fans? Do you think they have a point? Maybe let's change it up, or be careful what you wish for, because Roy, he mightn't be great to watch, but he guarantees you your Premier League status.
But I can understand, and I know what you mean. Like financially, for a club like that, like when your Premier League status.
After the Bournemouth game, they were played off the park, and Bournemouth played the attacking football that they want to see. And I suppose they're seeing a lot of teams now, a lot, as you say, a lot of young managers, a lot of looking to play the open, even with Burnley, they're struggling, but they're playing attacking football. So, I mean, maybe it's a bit harder for these older managers, the likes of Hodgson, Allardyce, Mourinho, who want to play the safe football. But
they're not.
I don't know.
Them type of managers aren't going to change now. They're too long in the tooth. That, you know what I mean? They always still think that their way is the way. But nowadays, football's spectator. It's always been a spectator, but it's about entertaining the fans. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. Go out and put a show on, and that's what the Premier League's trying to do by bringing it. No, it's an entertaining game. All these results that we've had this season are just shockingly ridiculous. Some cracking games. And that's people's going, my team, they play like that. You can imagine if we were playing football like that.
Palace are never involved in another game because it's
always... we're not. Hey, you'll have 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, and the bottom, Crystal Palace versus Leicester. No. Every week. they're the worst. No, I mean, they're lasting match of the day every week.
So, James is saying if I was Crystal Palace, the same might be the same. Just go for it, not they lose. I mean, they're going to adopt the same approach on Saturday. Will they have any joy at Man City?
Hey, I'm not going to put it past them. They've won there a couple of times. So they have, in the last couple of seasons, sneaked a wee 1-0. So, no, Man City are... Somebody's getting it. You know what I mean? They've been on a bad run, and somebody is going to be on the end of an absolute thumping. And I think it's going to be Crystal Palace. I'm telling you, if it like a 5-6-0 coming up, I think Crystal Palace are just in for an absolute hammer. Man City's going to give it to somebody, and that'll be the last few weeks. They'll be all forgotten about.
I agree. I think City will make it very comfortable. I'll go for a 3-0. I think it'll be easy. Newcastle, Fulham, the last of the 3 o'clock games. Huge game. Fulham at the minute are scoring. I think they scored 16 goals in their last 4 games. All started off with that 4-3 at Anfield. And very similar, they were another team. Yes, they were compact, but they went to Anfield. They said we're not going to open up, but we're going to go at them when we catch them in the transition, and they did cause a lot of problems. I think that's the argument the Palace fans have, is even when they were compact and defensive against Liverpool, they needed a penalty to score because they were never had players in attacking positions to counter that. It was very much play in your own final third, whereas Fulham went their way a game plan. And you know what? Newcastle are vulnerable too at the moment. Running on empty. I mean, they gave it everything against Milan first half, ran out of steam second half. Some tough games against Everton and Spurs as well. So, Fulham, they go in there, fancy their chances. How do you see us going?
I think Fulham will get something. I won, maybe not, but I genuinely think they play good football. So it'll be your man Bobby. Oh, still gets me.
Bobby's fun.
Oh, still
funny enough, we were funny, but he never scored a goal. We thought he'd get the winner at Anfield, and then Liverpool stayed for like comeback.
Aye, but against us, I thought they played really well. I thought they done really well against us, and it wasn't until the last 10 minutes when they went ahead, and then we decided then that there was no such thing in football as tactics. And Trent went on the centre midfield and started spraying balls all over the place. Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, Fulham having a good one there, but 5-0 against West Ham too last time out.
5-0 against Forest.
And 5-0 against Forest. I do think they'll get a result. I don't think the Newcastle faithful will let them steamroll over them. Do you know, I kind of way like they'll expect something from their team.
Newcastle are a different side at home.
Aye, they are, surely. I know. I mean, I have fan base behind them. Like they're a tough place to go. But I fancy I'll go a 1-1 draw. I think that, as you say, they looked so tired last night. You know what I mean? They looked absolutely shattered. And I think the wee Saturday game might come just a day too early, and they might stutter a bit, but I fancy they get at least a draw.
You fancy Fulham? I actually think it'll be a draw too. Go for a 2-2. I think it'll be quite entertaining. 5:30, the return of Sean Dicey, Turf Moor. I would imagine he'll get a crazy reception because he was there for a long time and he's done a great job. But I mean, Everton have probably been the surprise package of the season in terms of, you know, the results they've got. They've had that 10-point deduction. They're still in the top half of the table. And they've got some great results, especially away from home, at the likes of Forest, West Ham. as well. Places that are notoriously difficult to go, and they were able to get ones there. They beat Chelsea at home as well. And I mean, Burnley, we know what Burnley are going to do. They're going to open up and be very attacking. And someone like Sean Dyche, and he's got a lot of Sean Dyche players, they're very experienced players, might just be able to catch Burnley out. I don't know how you feel about this.
I think it pains me to say it, like, but you have to give Everton credit, like, you know what I mean? 10-point deduction, the way they bounced back from it, like, it's been second to none. Like, you can't really fault them for it. Completely different sides than they were the last 2 seasons. And there's absolutely no way they're going to be in a relegation battle, even if you give them a 20-point deduction. I don't think they would be this year. As you say, perfect manager to go away to Burnley. So many Sean Dyche players, he knows inside out. And as you say, Burnley's coming after them, like they're going to go at them. They only know one style now under company. So, but I do think up front they're just not firing it. They don't have nothing up front.
No, they lost the wee lad in the wing, Kelly O'Shoe too. He's out for the season.
It was just Rodriguez, wasn't it, that they had then, like J. Rodriguez, isn't it? And he doesn't pull up any trees. So I fancy Everton 2-0. That's definitely, I think, a comfortable Everton.
See the style of play Burnley are playing. Do you think company deserves credit for it, or is he just crazy? Do you know what way do you like? If they get relegated playing that way, do you say fair play for having a go, or do you feel you're just being seriously naive and you've given yourself no chance? Where do you stand on it? Because there's a lot of debate about it.
Well, I think because he was given a 5-year deal when he got them up, he's got a free hit, hasn't he? Really? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think they see long term. He's the man. Even if they go back down, he's your man in the championship because he can, get them back up again. And they're very much that you get a lot of money in the Premier League, and then you can kind of get relegated and take that money back and build season upon season. I think somebody with Luton are doing with Rob Edwards. Even if results get bad, they're going to stick with him. If they go back down, rebuild, they'll have more money than they would have had previous if they just stayed in the championship, for example. So, I mean, it's very much a long-term plan. But, I mean, he's not giving themselves much of a chance to stay up because no matter who they play, they play like sort of, we're going to go out and match shoes and play basketball, and they just haven't got the quality.
No, you can't do it, especially at this level. Like, but as you like, somebody else last year too came up and tried all that mad going out and attacking players.
Leeds done it for 2 years.
Right, Leeds kept doing it, and they were down and up and down. And it's just not the way they work. Like, I do think you need to tighten up at the back. Jesus, you can have a go, but there's certain teams you can have a go at. I think going out and playing your 38 games all gung-ho against everybody is a bit mental. If you can sneak a point or two against the top sides, that could be vital at the end of the season instead of getting a goal difference of minus 10 or 20. Do you know what I mean? Against the top 6 teams. That's absolutely mental. So, no, I think you need to tighten up, but I think Burnley's going down because he's not going to change now. Do you know what I mean? It's too far. He's got it hanging. He said he's going to keep it going. So,
James, thanks to be a great game. I agree. I think Burnley will be beat though. I think Meats called it right, 2-0. 2:00, Arsenal Brighton. You'll be watching this one. We want to end it before the Liverpool game, I'd imagine. Brighton went there last year and won by 3-0. To be fair, it was right at the end of the season. Arsenal were a beaten team after the title race had gone. But Brighton are one of them teams you can never underestimate them. Capable of mixing it up with the big boys on their day. I think since De Zerbi's come on, no team outside the big 6 have took more points off the big 6 than Brighton. So, I mean, difficult game. No guarantee Arsenal won this, but they have been pretty strong at home. Do you think this will be a test for them?
I do. I think Brighton's a test for any team. More so maybe at home. Away at Brighton, be more a test. Like, you know what I mean? I do expect an Arsenal one, but I do think it's going to be. Actually, Brighton's actually playing right too.
Cal makes a good point. Brighton tend to be tired after a Thursday night game.
That's what I was just going to say. They're actually kicked off now, so seeing how they're going. They're home to Marseille, isn't it?
If they won the game, they won the group. So a lot of incentive because if they won the game, it means they must play that last 32 round.
So there's a lot riding in that game, just depending on that there. I have no injuries and stuff. Like Arsenal have got a clean bit of health going into the weekend. They'll have their usual goalkeeping issues, who they're going to play on nets, as their number one. But other than that, there at home at the Emirates, I think it'll be a cracker because you know what you get with Brighton. I mean, they're going to come and have a go and it'll be an interesting one. But I think Arsenal Arsenal have too much for them, and especially with a couple of days extra rest as well leading into the game. You know what I mean? It's still 2 o'clock
Arsenal were able to
kickoff on
rest the
Sunday.
majority of their team as well from Tuesday night.
Yeah. It'll be like 2-1, maybe 3-2. I think there'll be goals in it, like what there usually is with Brighton and Arsenal. So I'll go 3-2.
3-1 for me. Arsenal will hit Brighton at the right time. Final few games: Brentford against Aston Villa. Now, Villa have been flying at home, 15 wins in a row at home, dating back to last season, the Premier League. Away from home, they tend to struggle, and even when they get results, they tend to be second best. We've seen that at Bournemouth. We've seen that at Spurs. Managed to get 4 points in them 2 games when both teams spurn massive chances. They beat them. I don't know how this comes about, but there definitely is something behind it because they seem to be a totally different team at home and very much away from home. That they be second best and outplayed. So it's very strange because I've never seen a team be so great at home and then just so bad away from home. They're blowing teams away at home and then they're getting blown away performance-wise away from home, but maybe getting the odd result. So I mean, know what Brentford's like. Very tough place to go. I make Brentford favourites for this game. I'm not sure how you see it.
No, well, it's just going on what you're saying there too. Even John McGinn's interview the other night after the Arsenal game, he says it himself. He says a tough place to go. He says we haven't performed there in the last couple of years. Like they've had a lot of bad results there, and it's not a place that they're particularly great by. So they know themselves, but hey, it's hard going away from home. Like, Villa Park, there's so much optimism around it now at the minute. And you're going on there and you've 30,000. Like, you're not allowed to let up. But if you're going away to a wee ground there and you've only maybe got 1,000 fans, on that wee tiny ground, it's easy to put on a bad performance. And one thing they have to do is not be complacent. Don't overlook Brentford. I know Brentford's a decent side. You know what I mean? They are decent.
And Buemo's injured though, and that's a big blow for them. So maybe they're having a good time.
Well, that's their front line's completely gone because Buemo was holding it together by Tony. Tony's been out with the band, like, so they have them too not there now. And he's been playing some great stuff too, by the way. But you would fancy Aston Villa. If they are going to be genuine. No, they're saying like, we may as well go for it. We may as well have a rattle and go for the title. If they are really thinking about that, this is the games they have to win. It's already beaten the big teams at Villa Park 1 and 2-0, but you have to be beating Brentford away too if you want to be in any sort of contention.
I think we'll learn a lot about Aston Villa after this game because the pressure's on now. People are throwing them under the mix.
See, people start to talk about you, and the heads get turned, and it's easy to take your eye off a ball of pressure going on. When you're looking in your back of every newspaper and you're on Sky Sports.
Thomas Frank is a great tactician, and he can set teams up at home to really frustrate and punish you. And I think Brentford definitely get a result, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
I'll follow you on that. I think so too. Villa playing the night as well away in Bosnia.
They had to get. I think it was early kickoff, but I'm nearly sure they had to get a result. They top the group, so they might have went strong. I'm not sure.
So that was, and it's at Bosnia. I don't know where it is, like, but I'm assuming it's far away. So,
somewhere in Eastern Europe. Super Sunday games. The warm up for Liverpool United is West Ham Wolves. I think are all 2:00 games. I'm not sure why this was chosen.
That should have been the Arsenal game.
Should have been Arsenal, or even either or. Watch Brentford Villa. West Ham Wolves. West Ham fans, very similar to Palace fans, but maybe they're getting the results actually. I know they get battered by Fulham, but other than that, they were 6 unbeaten in the league. But again, West Ham fans, even after the Spurs game, are ringing on Talk Sports saying, can't watch any more of this defensive crap football. And then as opposed to that, Wolves are loving it under Gary O'Neill, who comes across as very refreshing. The media like him, done a great Monday Night Football with Jamie Carragher, and seems to be very much like Ange Postecoglou. He's got a lot of fans amongst all our sort of clubs. So, I mean, I know who I want to see the one because I really like Gary O'Neill and I really like watching Wolves. But, I mean, where do you stand on that with the West Ham fans? I mean, again, they've just won a European trophy. They're in the top half of the table. Could very much push for Europe this season again. But they want to change because they want to see the West Ham way return. Whatever that is.
I think I don't know what the West Ham way because I've never seen it in my lifetime. Like Paolo Di Canio's been the best player they've ever had. You know what I mean? That I've ever seen playing for them. But hey, West Ham. I understand Palace watching the same drab every week and staying up the skin of their teeth at the end of the year. I can completely understand that. West Ham have just won a European trophy. They've won a first trophy and so 30 odd whatever. I don't even know. It was
1980.
That like what he's want. Really, what he's want. It's that They sell their best midfielder for 100 million. They're creative playmaker. Do you know what I mean? And I think he plays both. He plays in the front, up front. And he can play defensive as well. Like they've lost a massive footballer.
Their league position hasn't changed. They've still maintained that level. So I think Moyes is doing a great job.
I think he's doing a fantastic job, and I don't think he was given enough time at United at the start. You know what I mean? And then like he's done brilliant with Everton. He's done excellent with West Ham. And no, I think they should be really, really, really careful what they ask for, because if West Ham go and change him after Christmas or now even before Christmas, which I can't see them doing it anyway. But if the fans, you just made a comment earlier on that the fans get what they want. Chelsea fans, and if they do that, I think they're in big baller the second half of the season. They have to stick with him.
I think what's more likely to happen is his contract's up in the summer. I don't think because of the fan pressure it'll be renewed, but we'll learn then where the grass is bigger.
And then if he does that, he has to get a new contract. He's won 2 European trophies in 2 seasons, or if he wants a domestic cup.
Believe it or not, I think even if he went and done that and got them into the Champions League, won another European trophy, I think a lot of the fans would still want to change.
So do I know they are kind of hard to watch. Like, you know what I mean? Like the only player really worth watching is your wee man Jared Bowen. Do you know what I mean? He's the only one that springs to life.
Rangers, just back up here. Rangers are currently 2-1 up away at Real Betis. That will be
they have to win to go through. They have to win.
2-1 up away at Betis. Finish off, mates, for your prediction for the main game of the weekend, Liverpool United. Keep it PG, would you?
I'd see how many fingers I have to count. Whoa.
What's your gut, Taylor? What do you think the score will be?
4 or 5. I really do. I just think.
Do you think is there any way they can match last year or even get more than last year?
See if it goes. I'm going to be trying. I'm trying to be so realistic, but I'm trying not to get carried away too at the same thing. If we score in the first 10 minutes, it's going to be a massacre. And if Nunez decides that, you know what, I'm going to put a couple of these chances away.
Callum's actually going to the game, so enjoy the game, Callum. He's saying 6-0.
He's saying 6, and I would love to see
Martin's saying 4-0, and I'm being nice. What's your predictions? Spurs prediction? Meat says 2-0 for Spurs. I says 3-1. Martin saying 4-0, and he's being nice. It's funny because I think a lot of Liverpool fans would feel if they won this game, say 2-0, they would see it as a missed opportunity.
I see what I don't know. 100%. That's the way I see it, because I was looking at that the other day, and we're ahead in goal difference. You know what I mean? Our goal difference is standing us in good stead at the top of the table. And I think getting United now at this time where they are, and with all the troubles going on behind the scenes, and the uncertainty over the manager and, the players, just everything going on with the club and the ownership. And I just think that it would be a massive missed opportunity if we didn't put them to the sword properly.
Galton United haven't scored since 2018. Funny enough, I seen that today. Their last results there was a 0-0 in between a 2-0, a 4-0, and a 7-0. So it's doesn't make good reading.
2-0, 4-0, 7. So like a 4 or 5 is quite easy. But it all depends how we've got that much up front, where if Nunez is missing, you can kind of rely on Salah to bang one in, maybe Gakpo or Jota off a bench, or we've got that backup.
This could be Nunez's daily break, a wee bit of a drought.
I would love it. You know what I'm like with him. Like, I love him. Like, so I'm trying not to look past this weekend on the next weekend's bigger game in my eyes.
I think
just because the way that the league's up.
I think very much like you. I think if a goal goes in the first 5 or 10 minutes, it could be a long afternoon. But I think these injuries may help United because they might have a bit more steel about them, but they'll not have any quality. So I think Liverpool probably won the game 3-0.
Well, you see, the only thing is they're going to come out and they're going to put their men behind the ball. You know what I mean? Keep it tight and try not to allow us any space at all. But as you say, like, if we can get that early goal, that has to open them up. They have to open up a bit. Like, they just can't.
Not so much. I don't even know if they would, mates, but I think more the early goal for me, I would think, is the heads will go more than the actual open the game plan will change. I think they're going there with very much let's keep a score down. I really do.
It's crazy to think that. See, even to be sitting here saying that Liverpool could go and beat United 5 or 6-0 the weekend is absolutely mental. Do you know what I mean? It is. It's just, it's unheard of. And I know that, like, I would put last year's result down to it. It's an absolute freak result. They come around once every whip about, but they sit now and go, it actually could happen again, and it could be more. There is the threat that it actually could be. They could better it, and
What would
it's
you do?
mad.
What would you do if it was a record score 10-0?
What do you do? Like, I would, lad. I wouldn't even. I couldn't even slag them. I couldn't. Like, I would. I don't know what I would do. I'm trying not
Do
to
you
feel
think? Do you
sorry.
think Callum? Do you think Callum enjoys his day in Liverpool on Sunday?
Oh, what? He'll be in the 12th man. That's what you call a bar next door to it. He'll be in the 12th man. Monkey. Really well.
Right. I've let you have the hat. So
Up
give
and
me
on
your
the
final
up
prediction.
the top stairs and out the back on the kitchen.
Give me your final prediction.
5. 4. It was 4 or 5, but I'm going to go 5 now. 5-star performance.
James says can't wait for Gary Neville's comments if we won. Didn't he say last year he didn't play that well?
Aye.
Mates, thanks for coming on. Been a great show. I mean, before you go, how do you see the Arsenal game? Callum and Stefan's on next Friday. I think next Friday night. That's Liverpool Arsenal podcast. How do you see the Arsenal game going next week? And do you expect Liverpool to be top of the league on Christmas Day?
Well, apparently I'll be sitting beside you watching it.
No, I know you're watching it, but I'm saying, how do you think they'll go?
I think we'll just nick it. I think it's going to be a tough game. Like, both teams. You know what I mean? Arsenal's
How do
partial
you
to a
think
goal.
psychologically? Because I think there's a lot of teams that are there going, they want it. I know some teams haven't, but when you wake up Christmas Day and you see your team top of the league, do you think that gives you a massive boost for the second half of the season?
Aye, well, I would rather be top and bottom. Do you know what I mean? On Christmas Day, because the stats tell you that when you're down there, you're snookered. Like, but the top, I don't know. Hey, it depends. And see, we're 3-4 points clear. You know what I mean? If Brighton can snap a wee result at the weekend, and then we go and beat Arsenal, and then I don't actually know who Man City play next week.
They don't play because they're in a Club World Cup, so they'll have a game in hand.
So they'll have a game in hand, but there's more games building up to Flemings, and you don't know. So I know now that I know that, I would be very confident. I do think we can go on and do something. Like, and we played Man City away. You know what I mean? Already, I know we'll have to go to Old Trafford, we'll have to go to the Emirates, but back ourselves at them places too. Like, so what do?
Mates, thanks for coming on. Been a great show. Thanks for everyone for watching and your comments. Catch us next week. We'll be back on Monday to review the Liverpool United fallout, the rest of the weekend's games, and look ahead to, I think, League Cup. And we'll also be doing next week. I don't know if you're off during the week, mates, but what do you like at quizzes? We're going to be in a Premier League Christmas quiz next week. We've got a couple of boys on. No cheating, obviously, but if you're tuning in, you can play along. But a crack for Christmas. And then next Friday, I've got Callum and Stefan on for the Liverpool Arsenal podcast. And then that sees us up nicely for the 12th man day out next Saturday.
Yeah.
All the lads are out for a few pints for the Liverpool Arsenal game. So looking forward to Christmas football. Loads to watch. So make sure to stay across the channel. Plenty coming up. If you're new around here, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Mates, thanks very much.
No bother, Mux. I'll chat to you later.